Monsters Inc. is the most successful screen processing factory in the monster world, and there's no better scarer than James P. Sullivan. But when Sully accidentally lets a little human girl into the monster world of Monstropolis, life turns upside down for him and his buddy Mike in this movie, Monsters Inc. Hi, I'm Mark, your host,
And I'm Anthony, your other host.
and this is Buddy Movies, the place where buddies talk about movies. What's new for you?
I saw A Quiet Place 2 Saturday night
In a theater?
in the theater, man. In the theater.
It's back! I'm
Granted,
so excited.
there were two other people besides myself in the theater. I did go see it with a coworker, right? Not Laura, because she doesn't really like scary movies, so it was with another coworker. But um, I it was very, very suspenseful. I love the theater experience. Like I was waiting, I was not going to see this on streaming. No, I was so glad. Even I did really appreciate that John Krasinski in the beginning of the movie, before it actually started, he had like a little talking head where he came on screen and said, "Thank you for choosing to see this in the theater for this experience. This is what we intended the movie to be in. We wanted this movie to be a theatrical experience. So thank you for coming out and supporting theaters." I was like, I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Because when this movie got postponed, like every other movie, last year, I was really bummed because I was really looking forward to it because I loved the first one and I really wanted to see the second one. So I waited, over a year here for it, and it was really, really good. It was really good. I will say though, not as good as the first one, and there were some things about it that kind of bothered me about it.
hmm.
But overall, I still really liked it.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and like I said, I'm debating whether or not I may put up like a video review of it at some point
Okay.
here. It's a couple minutes long here on our Buddy Movies channel to kind of go a little more in depth about things I liked and things I didn't like about it.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was just a fun experience to
Yeah.
be at the movies again. And
I think it'd be great if we both started doing more reviews on the Buddies Movies channel. Putting more stuff up, especially
yeah.
our own individual stuff. I had that idea for the weekend show where, hey, let's catch up with what we're doing for the weekend and what's coming out new, what's new in streaming, that type of thing. Just like bam, bam, hit a couple things real quick. Try and keep it to about 5 6 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so we'll see where it all goes. I'm getting excited with getting more content, getting better at it. I'm
Hmm.
getting used to the editing program again, so that I'm able to do things a lot faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a bit of a learning curve because I've been so out of practice for. I haven't
Yeah.
really edited anything for a couple of years at this point, but it's been nice to get back in the groove, and I'm seeing the importance now of being ahead
Hmm.
because I know that I'm
Yeah.
definitely the one who falls behind when it's my turn to edit and things like that, and that's I'm sorry for doing that, and I know it can put a stressor on you. But but yeah, I'm seeing the importance of it and trying to get in a better habit on it.
One thing I'm also going to be getting at here at some point is I'm just gonna go for it and get a high end camera, whether it's a
Mm.
DSLR or a video camera, because it's been something I've been thinking about for years. And there's just a point where, like, I'm not gonna spend go out and spend 4, 5, 6 thousand on one, but my price range is several hundred, trying to keep it
Yeah,
under 1,000. But I would like to get just a high end camera that I can actually use for recording here and just go out and shoot stuff if I want. Just
hmm.
um, also like if I filmed like two weddings last year, two of my cousins' weddings, and it would save me having to rent a camera,
Yeah,
which would really cut down on expense. So that's something I'm gonna be getting here probably within the next couple of weeks. I'm looking around to different things, different places, but
now, where are you looking? Like, are you going to actual stores? Or are you looking at
yeah,
Amazon?
I'm gonna look strongly at Best Buy. I really like Best Buy, and I've been looking online at some of the things on Best Buy. Obviously, I want to get a brand new one. I don't want to you know try getting a used one on this. I want to actually go
Yeah,
all out in that way for this. So I'm looking at Best Buy. Haven't really looked any other places yet. I've started with Best Buy and just going from there. But
yeah, makes sense.
um, yeah. So as far as brand, I'm kind of looking at Canon or Sony, but I'll probably honestly go with Canon. kind of most familiar with Canon, and
Yeah, it's
they're
what we
kind
used
of
at school, so
they're the
everything intertwined.
yeah. But that'll be really nice if I can get one. I can use one here for recording. It'll just look a lot better, and yeah, just yeah, trying to do a little more there. And like I said, it's been something I've been thinking about for a while, and so yeah. Also, I
Yeah.
want to get a drone at some point because I've found out like I'm looking for different jobs, and a lot of the jobs they're for editors, for video producers, and everything. They're looking for people who have drone licenses. So
Mm.
I'm looking to get more hands-on experience with drones.
So you're
So
talking like actual experience with a drone, like not just, oh, I bought a little $100 thing and
right,
flew
no, I'd be
around.
getting a like one of those 800, $900,000 drones. Yeah, you can spend
$900,000 drone? What?
no 800 or 900. No,
Oh,
yeah,
I was like,
no, not going quite that far here. No,
I was like,
no.
is that's a secret source of income that I don't know about here?
Secretly Walter White over here. Actually, I
Oh,
just
okay.
try to keep it on the down low. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, not 9 or 10,000. No way.
And are there like certification courses around here that you can take or to get?
I'm like I haven't really looked that far into it
Oh,
yet.
okay.
Uh, yeah, I can't imagine it's that pricey or difficult to get a license for it for one. But I don't know. I'll have to find out. But it
Yeah.
starts with actually getting one, and obviously that's going to take a bunch of research on my part to find out uh,
Are
which ones
actually
are
good and not just gonna give you crap footage
right,
because they use
right.
stock footage to make their promo videos.
Yes,
Have you noticed
yes.
that some of these really nice drones that they claim on the internet? I've noticed on Facebook. It's like you guys are using, excuse me, you guys are using stock footage, and we know it's stock footage because
False
I've seen the
advertising.
stock footage websites and I've
Mm-hmm.
wanted to purchase that footage.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so I don't
Yeah.
know who they're trying to fool. Maybe like the layman person who doesn't realize. You know what I mean? But oh man,
Yeah.
I've seen those and it's been disappointing.
Yeah.
Let's see, what have I been up to?
Yeah. What do you watched anything? Loki came out. Are you up to date with
Loki.
Loki?
I'm up to date with Loki.
Cool.
I'm
All
excited.
right.
Next episode drops.
Yep.
No, tomorrow. I guess 2 days from now.
Yeah.
So
Wednesday night.
I'm gonna start on Bad Batch here soon. It's the new Star Wars
I have
show.
I have a coworker who's big into that right now. He's a huge Star Wars fan, so literally anything Star Wars related that comes out, he's on it.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch it, but I've been holding back because I haven't finished the other Star Wars series. Like I haven't watched Rebels. I haven't finished Clone Wars, so I'm only on like season 3 of Clone Wars, and there's 7 seasons of that. And Clone Wars, pretty much, they're calling Bad Batch like Clone Wars season 8, but instead of following
Okay.
the Jedi now, you're following the clones. So I'm just like, ah. But I was talking to my dad yesterday because yesterday was Father's Day, and he was just like, just watch Bad Batch. It stands alone enough on its own that you can just watch it. He's like, don't worry about catching up on other stuff. So I'm going to take that advice and just watch it because otherwise I'm probably never going to watch it. If I have wait until I have to watch 4 seasons of one show and 5 more seasons of another show, it's like I
Mm-hmm.
probably just won't do it. So I'll probably just dive in, and then hopefully that'll encourage me to go back and watch the other shows.
Yep.
But yeah, so yeah, the Loki. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so excited about Marvel again. I think I said it
Mm-hmm.
last week,
You
but
did. You did.
yeah, they're going so hardcore into it. They're just plugging away at that whole multiverse thing, and it's very exciting. They're attention. We are entering the spoiler zone,
The spoiler zone.
and it's very exciting. They're diving headfirst into Kang the Conqueror, who, although they say he's going to be in what's the movie? They say he's the antagonist for Ant Man or Doctor Strange, one of those two.
Okay.
I think he's actually like Thanos level villain. So I don't think it's going to be like a one and done fight. It's going to be
Yeah.
like, oh, they encounter him and they know he exists now. It's not going to be, oh, we encounter him and we defeat him in that movie. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited to see what happens with this because if I'm right, King the Conqueror is probably one of the. I guess this is our spoiler warning here for
Mm-hmm.
spoiler. I think he's one of the three guys who's set up the timeline, and I think he's actually manipulating the timeline in Loki for his benefit, and that's why they're so protective of the sacred timeline. You know,
I see.
so you're up to date with it, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like, wait, did I just spoil it for you? Did I just mess something up? And,
Nope. Nope.
yeah, but yeah, so it'll be interesting to see the fact that they went with the Lady Loki or Sylvie. I'm not sure because her name in the cast listing was Sylvie. So we'll see if they're actually doing that. She's an actual Loki or how that works. Um, but that's interesting. I like that they
Hmm.
had that reveal right away. I thought that I kind of felt like they were going that route, but it was nice that they didn't just waste time to reveal that it's a female Loki that they're going after. They just reveal it pretty quick.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. Other than that, obviously I watched Monsters Inc. this week. I feel like there was something else that I caught, but they had a new trailer for the new Star Trek show
Okay.
that dropped, and it's interesting. It's got me intrigued. I was intrigued with the last trailer too, and I wasn't so happy with that season. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, job search.
Sounds
I
good. Yeah.
interviewed at some places, so I'm waiting to
Okay.
hear back on that. I'm hoping I get a call this week. If I don't, I'm gonna have to start hitting the pavement again.
Mm.
But yeah, so
Yep.
Monsters Inc.
Monsters
I'm
Inc.
excited about this one because of the text you sent me last night.
I did. Yes, I sent you a text that I didn't really want to send, but I had to send because I rewatched this movie, and this was the first time I saw the movie since 2016, I want to say. And I will say, when I watched the movie the first time, it was in a room with a bunch of other people who were occasionally talking, and I was not even paying attention the whole time myself, and just kind of casually watching it, not getting everything that was coming from it. And it this is a good movie. This is a good movie. I can't deny it. As much as I might want to, I can't deny it. This is a pretty good movie here.
All
I'm not
right, roll
gonna.
credits. We're good.
So you win this one, shortest episode. Well, that's a good. What, 10 minutes? Looks like we're done.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. As much as I still would not rank it, near the top of the Pixar canon. I'd probably place it somewhere in the middle, but it's still certainly not their worst by a long shot. It's definitely in the middle to upper half, I'd say.
Hmm.
So,
I watched a video essay of the guy arguing that it's what did he say? He said it's comedic gold. It is a masterpiece or something like that. And I was just
ooh,
like,
okay,
whoa, those are strong words
that's
right there,
pretty.
buddy.
That is.
It's pretty
Um,
flowery, if you ask me. Um,
and Pete Docter, who did
yeah, Pete
Up,
Doctor.
Inside Out, and
Yep.
Soul, he directed it, and of course, Andrew Stanton, who is heavily involved in the early Pixar movies and a lot of the up until the most recent ones. Him and Daniel Gerson directed it. So, and it got nominated for 4 Oscars.
Yeah, I
Best
was
music.
so bummed when I saw that it lost to Shrek
I
for
was gonna
Best
say.
Picture. I
Now,
was
would you
like,
say it was best?
ah!
Would you say it was bested? Would you say it was bested or no?
I don't like Shrek, so no, I wouldn't say it
So
was
you don't want to say
bested.
that?
But
Okay.
I guess people really like Shrek.
People do. People do. Yeah, I got nominated for best score. Randy Newman, who also did Toy Story, did sound editing, and then animated feature, and a won for best music original song for "If I Didn't Have You." And I will
Yeah.
say, I recognize the music for this. Randy Newman. There is a song right at the end where it's literally from, well, Toy Story 3 came after this, obviously, but
Hmm.
Toy Story 3 uses the exact same track. That's what's in this movie towards the end when Boo is saying goodbye to, or when Sully is saying goodbye to Boo.
Okay.
It's the exact. I'm like, this sounds very Toy Story-ish. Like it's almost completely the same, and sure enough,
Yeah,
it's
I
the
mean,
exact same
well,
track.
Randy Newman was the go-to guy for all of Pixar through
Mm-hmm.
this movie. He did the first four Pixar movies. He did Toy Story, Bugs Life, Toy Story 2, and Monsters Inc. Those were
And
the
Nemo too, I believe. Finding
No, he
Nemo,
didn't do
didn't he?
Nemo. Nemo
Okay,
was actually
thought he.
Thomas Newman, his cousin.
Thomas Newman. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. You're
So,
right.
but yeah, so yeah, Finding Nemo was the next one after that, and that was the first one to break from the Randy Newman. Um, but it's still Newman, so it's still like
Right.
that
Still
family
Newman
relation there.
within the family there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
So,
sure you caught all the Easter eggs here with them, with the Finding Nemos that are in this movie
well, you know
that
what's
hinted at.
funny talking about Easter eggs? This is the one Pixar movie that's missing a very common Easter egg
Which one's that?
that doesn't have the A113.
Okay. A1, because I
And
saw you have the Pizza Planet truck. You have Nemo in there. I'm sure you have a bunch of other stuff, but okay, the A113. Yeah, you almost
and
always have that.
and it's almost like they purposely left it out because there are so many times when they could
They
have had
could
in the
have.
movie,
Yeah.
like they got so many like pieces in the factory. They have things on the wall,
So
they
many
have
rooms.
locker numbers, they have
Yeah.
room numbers, they have so many things. The news station is station 13.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like they're kind of mocking us and poking at it and being like, hey, you've seen this in all of our movies. But it's weird because it's only the fourth movie. It's only the fourth
Yeah.
Pixar movie.
Yeah, we have to
So
remember
it's
this is 2001. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. It's I don't know. I wonder how much they knew if their stuff was going to be that legendary. Because at this point, you got to realize they were working on everything. They were
Yeah.
working on Finding Nemo. They were working on Wally. All of it was there. Up was the first one that had started development later than these movies because all these movies, Cars, were all being developed at the same time because of how long it took for them to come out
Yeah.
and develop CGI at the time. So, I like to think they knew, but
Yeah.
and this one is the one that also throws off the Pixar theory. Have you heard the Pixar theory?
I have heard the Pixar theory. Yes.
And the way they work this movie is that this movie supposedly comes out or takes place, and because okay, actually, gotta explain the Pixar theory now that I think about it.
Yeah, go ahead for any of
Okay,
our
so
viewers.
for any of our viewers who don't know what the Pixar theory is, the Pixar theory is this idea that all the Pixar movies are connected on one timeline. So they all interconnected movies, and that's why they are hinting at each other in every single film. So Monsters Inc. obviously can fit in it, but the way they make it fit in is kind of weird. Instead of just being, oh, it's a parallel universe, some people place this movie in the future in that they're not going through spatial portals, but they're going through time portals when they go through the doors.
Hmm.
And that the monsters are actually what the humans became after they returned to Earth and Wally. It's what the humans evolved into to be able to survive after all the conditions of how terrible the world was versus how out of shape they were.
Mm.
So humans evolved into the monsters in Monsters Inc. to be able to survive. And that's why there's such human things throughout the movie. And everything's just a slight parallel of Earth and human things, but not quite human, which I don't know. I think it's fun to have the whole intermixed idea of
Yeah.
movies, and it's fun to see all the little Easter eggs, but it seems a little far fetched. Although
I,
there are times when Pixar probably it seems like they know about this theory and that they're just like egging it on.
yeah, yeah. Just for the sake of getting people more and more excited about it.
Hey, if it gets people to watch your movies, it gets people to
Yeah,
watch your
I
movies.
mean, yeah, yeah, it's true.
Hmm.
This is also I wanted to mention. This is in the IMDb top 250, number 230, with an 8.1 out of 10 rating. Out
It's
of
number what?
It's number 230 out of
230. Okay.
of the top 250, with an 8.1 out of 10 rating, with 833,792 reviews to this point. So
Wow, that's a lot of reviews.
yeah, it's a lot of reviews. It also grossed 579.7 million, over $500 million on a $115 million budget.
Hmm.
Which, yeah, so it
That's a big budget.
obviously it is a big budget for an animated movie, but these were, I was looking up all these. I was looking at the just like you were talking about the animation in this movie, especially when it deals with Sully's hair and what all
Hmm.
they took to animate his hair. Like I can
Yeah.
definitely see this being a very expensive movie. Like
Hmm.
it's pretty incredible, especially for 2001 when this
Well,
was not easy to do.
yeah, it would take them hours to run. Excuse me. It would take them hours to render just a single frame
Yeah,
of this
I
movie.
that's what I had in the trivia here. I'll just say right now, it took 11 to 12 hours to render a single frame of Sully because he had 2.3 million individually animated hair strands.
And I think when they did Monsters University, it's upped. I think he has like 10 million in that movie,
My
something crazy
goodness,
like that. It's just like insane. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's only like 6 or 8 million, but still, that's still like
that's a
it's
lot. It's
exponentially more.
a lot of computing power there.
Yeah. So these movies, I mean, they literally have like farms of servers rendering these films. It would literally be impossible to render these films on a single computer.
Hmm.
It would because it would take years, years for a single computer to render these movies, which is just crazy to think about how
Yeah,
much is going into these between the manpower, the time, and then the rendering. 12, like 11 hours to render a single frame. You figure there's 24 frames a second.
yeah, and he's on screen a lot in this movie. He's in
Yeah,
every
he's the
scene.
main
Like,
character.
so,
I mean, you can argue that Mike is also a main character, and
right.
they kind of like they're co-main characters. I mean, it is a buddy movie.
Oh
They
yeah,
do have
yeah.
that
That's what I was
opposite
gonna
side of
mention.
things. They have that fighting aspect, but they also have that on-screen chemistry that
Hmm.
you just haven't seen. I don't think Buzz and Woody weren't friends right away. I think
Right.
that's really where this movie starts off different. Is it starts off with
They're already
an established
established.
history. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
there. They're friends. They've been doing this forever. And Finding Dory, they have to meet each other in Toy Story. They're enemies, and they have to get to like each other. So yeah, this movie, they're already friends. They've known each other. I mean, they make the comment since the fourth grade in like this throwaway line, but it's also kind of an insult thing too. So I don't really hold that to
Yeah.
canon,
Yeah.
because people complain about the fact that they don't meet until college in Monsters University. That's when Mike and Sully meet is in college. So I don't hold it against them because he's just making a throwaway line of like, "Oh, you've been jealous of me since the fourth grade," like that's like a joke.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, yeah, I wouldn't put it on the level of masterpiece, but between John Goodman and Billy Crystal
It has a
and
really good voice cast. Like, uh,
yeah, it's
Goodman,
so good.
Crystal. You have what's her name, Bonnie Hunt, who did. She was in Cars.
Yeah,
She voiced several other
Steve
Pixar
Buscemi,
films.
that's the other one. Oh my
Steve Buscemi,
gosh.
yes. I was trying to play. I'm like, who? This guy is very familiar. Who is this? And it didn't take. I just couldn't figure it out for some reason. And
Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, that's Steve Buscemi. Yep, that's him.
yeah, yeah. He John Goodman fought to get him in this movie, and
Hmm.
it was a great choice. I think he just like instantly he gave that perfect like scheming creepy guy voice
Yeah.
to Randall, so that Randall was instantly like someone you didn't want to trust. I mean, they did a great job with introducing him as the villain too. Like
Yeah.
he's automatically, the fact that he's introduced picking on Mike, he's invisible, he's
Yes.
already like a bit of a douche. He's actually like a pretty hardcore villain too. He's
Mm-hmm.
trying to kill them at certain points, and
Oh yeah.
like it's
Take him
like
out.
pretty nasty compared to like the lighter stuff in Pixar usually. But
He
I don't
reminded
know.
me a little bit of what's his name, Skrull from Treasure Planet. He gave
Yeah.
me that kind
Yes.
of vibes
Yes.
a lot.
Yeah. He was I actually thought of that. I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
because I was when they started. Uh, I noticed when they got banished. I noticed I was like, oh, there's still 30 minutes left of this movie, and then it made me think of like the scroll thing. Oh, he got killed,
Yes.
but there were still 30 minutes left of the movie, And it
Yep.
did make me think about the fact of like, man, imagine if they got rid of Waternoose or Randall right now. If they just got rid of one of the villains, how would
Hmm.
that change the movie? So I was thinking about that. The fact that
Cool.
you mentioned that while I was watching it, I was like, huh. Um, but Billy Crystal took this role because he had actually apparently he'd been offered uh, Buzz Lightyear.
Yes,
He was the
I
first
saw
pick
that.
for Buzz Lightyear, and he turned it down and says that he instantly, once the movie came out, he regretted it and was like, "Oh my
Hmm.
gosh, big mistake. If you guys ever have anything
Huge.
else that would fit for me, give me a call." So yeah, they brought him in for this movie, and I really can't imagine anybody else doing the voice,
Yeah.
for Mike Wazowski. It's just too
Yeah. Fit pretty
perfect.
perfectly.
And another thing that was different about this movie was uh, they recorded it together in the studio, which is apparently a
Hmm.
rare thing for
Yes.
Pixar animated movies. They were in the studio recording at the same time. John Goodman and Billy Crystal were, which I think shows in the way the characters are portrayed because they got that buddy thing.
Yeah.
They have that, and they're clearly playing off each other. And you don't get people to really play off each other if they're not physically there. You can't really
Right.
have that banter of, or at least seeing each other. You know what I mean? Because we can play off each other here on our show, even though we're not physically in the same spot. So
Hmm.
it's nice that they recorded that way. And apparently, Steve Buscemi and who's the guy who played Fungus? But Randall and Fungus, they recorded together as well.
Okay.
Frank Oz, yes, another masterful actor. He's been in so many things. Um, from is he Fozzie Bear? Is Frank Oz the
I
voice for
could
Fozzie Bear?
I could not tell
I
you.
know he does. I know he does. Curious George. My kids
Okay.
love that. Um, yeah, he's Fozzie Bear. Yeah. So Frank Oz is just wait. I'm mixing people up. No, Frank Welker is Curious George. Frank Oz is Fozzie Bear. Okay, so yeah, two
Okay.
different voice actors, but still well known. Pretty much a legend in the game. He also does Miss Piggy as well. The guy has done so many voices. So it's kind of
Mm.
weird that he's kind of relegated to the secondary villain role, but
Yeah.
still they got in, they recorded together, and I think it just works so wonderfully, and it shows in the film. And it's little things like that is what makes this movie better than a lot of other animated films. Is the fact that they take those little steps to just you know tweak it and perfect it and make it seem more like a real live action movie.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty good on the
On
pro
your end, the
stuff.
pro stuff. Yeah.
Is there anything that you think, oh, they could have done this better, or I was confused by this?
Yeah. There
Since you
are.
don't have any straight up negatives, so you're not
Right.
like
There.
straight up cons.
Yeah. There are some things here. I feel like in this movie there's some things that go left are left unexplained that would really be beneficial if they did explain certain
Hmm.
things. I'll give an example here. So maybe I just completely missed this. I don't think I did, but tell me if I missed this. So in the beginning, why or throughout really the entire movie, why did monsters have the belief that children are deadly to them? Like, where did that come from? Was there like an incident? Like, was there an incident in the past? Because we were not shown any kind of incident in the past or any flashback where, oh my goodness, this happened to a monster when they touched a kid. So why are the monsters so terrified of not even just kids, but like of getting any kind of human clothing, any artifact on them? Like, where does that come from? Because I don't,
2319, 2319.
I
That's
don't,
the
I'm not gonna.
emergency. That's the emergency code
Oh,
that they
okay,
give
okay.
whenever somebody gets when
Oh,
the guy
yes,
gets
yes,
stuff on
yes.
him and he ends up stuffing his assistant in the
Yeah,
locker at the end because he doesn't want to be shaved down and embarrassed again.
right. But where does that come from? Like, uh, they never actually explain that. Why do the monsters? Why are they terrified of children?
Yeah.
Is it just because they're from a different world, and they don't want, like, yeah, we don't get anything from that.
Have you seen Monsters University?
Again, I saw it once, and that was semi watching it again with a group of people that were all talking. So not, I would say not really.
The climax of that movie kind of throws the whole thing off in this because they end up stuck in the human world for a couple of minutes.
Ooh,
They end up
and
Mike and Sully end up stuck in the human world because Mike's trying to prove that he's actually scary. So he goes into the human world to scare a bunch of kids, and he ends up at a camp thing. It's like a
okay,
summer camp. So he goes in there, and then Sully goes in to save him and help him, and they end up like having to jump out of the cabin and go down by the lake and stuff like that. And parents are being called in, and the kids are all freaking out. Oh, there's a monster! There's some bear or something. And but yeah, so they end up stuck in the human world for a decent amount of time. It's not just in and out. And this is supposed to be before Monsters Inc. So yeah,
yeah,
they had a
that
chance
doesn't
to
make sense.
deal with that, and they didn't deal with it at all. So yeah,
I
that's
think
really interesting to
I
think
feel like
about.
it's a bit of a plot hole there. Like why would they not not explain that? Why just kind of leave it as an accepted thing? Just, oh, okay, they are terrified of humans, of kids.
Yeah.
So that would be something I would improve on this movie, is maybe show an incident in the past, especially from like Sully's, maybe some Sully's standpoint. Because another
Hmm.
little complaint I have with this movie is I feel like we don't get enough background on Sully.
Hmm.
I feel like, because him and Mike are both, the main characters, but he's even more central than what Mike is.
Hmm.
I feel like I think it'd be beneficial to get a little more background on his character, how he, again, Monsters University. I'm sure obviously you get a lot more there with his backstory, but
Yeah, but that doesn't. You can't count on a prequel to
right, exactly.
feed
I feel
fix
like
a movie.
I think this movie would benefit from getting to know him a little bit more before we actually dive into the narrative itself. Uh, yeah, yeah. Get a little more information about him, maybe about Mike, like how they, um, not like how they really came to be together, but like how they, yeah, just how, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I think we just need a little more info on Solly, a little more into his background, and even maybe do a little more with his character as far as he's trying to get to the highest points total and everything on this, get the scare count up and everything.
Hmm.
I think I may have gone a little farther with that, in the sense that he tries to balance achieving that and helping Boo. Whereas in this movie, it's pretty much he turns off like a light switch whenever Boo needs, whenever she crawls through. Like, he doesn't seem, he's instantly not interested in the points anymore. Whereas maybe it'd be, I think, more interesting if he's trying to balance, oh, I really want this to happen, but also I have to care for Boo. So they're trapped in the Himalayas. How is it that they just happen to be near a village that in that exact moment the monsters are using to scare children, and they end up being able to get right back into it at that exact moment? It's very, very convenient. Again, nitpicky, but awfully convenient, if you ask me.
It is awfully convenient. It would be weird actually that they're near a village. I would think if you're trying to banish the
Right?
monsters in the world, you wouldn't want them too close to a
No.
village.
Yeah, it doesn't make
Although
any sense.
they didn't actually know about the village until he said anything, though, right? Like it wasn't like they got
Mm,
there and they could see it and it was apparent there was a village
no. Yeah,
nearby.
they had to find out about
The
it.
Yeti was like, "Yeah, but wow, the village," and they were like, "Wait, what? There's a village nearby?"
Yeah,
So,
that's
um,
true.
I think it would be interesting because, well, logistically, it's nighttime, so obviously they would operate there in the nighttime. So as nitpicky as that is, I think it does kind of make sense because it's nighttime where they're at in the human world. So obviously the monsters come through at night. And it's more about statistically, realistically, what are the chances of him finding a house with a child who's being put to bed and that door is being
Right.
activated at that moment.
And this is all the
Um,
children in the entire world,
yeah,
versus there's only so many employees at Monsters Inc. Like, the chances
especially
are,
with them going through a shortage right now. What's happening? Why are they going through a shortage? Are all the scare floors operating? Um, is it really that? Do they scare every kid every single night? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in reality, my kids aren't afraid of things every single night. My son
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. They have their nighttime worries or whatever. And but it's
Yeah.
not every night. If it was every night, oh my god, that would be unbearable. I'd have to be taking my kid to a counselor if they were afraid of something every single night that they went to bed. You
Right.
know. Um, it also helps that I have three kids and they share a room right now because they love each other that much that they don't want to be in separate rooms.
Oh,
I
that's nice.
know that's going to change.
But
I
yeah,
know it's going to change,
enjoy it while it
especially
lasts.
since Ezra's 3 years older than the next one after him, and then the youngest is a girl. There's no way she's going to want to share a room with boys as she gets older, and there's no way he's going to want to share a room with two kids who are that much younger than him at some point. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you get
Yeah.
to that 10-year-old versus 7, 12 to 9, 16 to 12 or 13, that's when the age gap starts being apparent. And,
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with a 12-year-old. But, yeah. Anyways. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is statistically like questionable, but I don't think it's like too far out there. But yeah, I get what you're saying on it.
No.
Of course, this is a world where monsters exist.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And I will say, as far as this kind of goes into a pro area, but like just how creative this story is. When you think about what this like we were saying, what this movie is about, it's a world where monsters travel through portals to kids' rooms in order to harvest their screams in order to
Yeah.
power a city. Like who thinks about that? Who thinks that
Right?
up? You
Like,
know?
okay, what?
I
Like,
don't.
who sits there and goes, "Wait, what if monsters were real, and there was a reason why they scared our kids?" Like, how do you go off into that
Right.
other than like everything else up until this point? There's been other movies where monsters were real, monsters under your bed
Yeah.
or stuff like that, but it was usually because they were some type of twisted or they were trying to escape their world, or like it's never been hey they're harvesting it and it's like a factory.
Right.
That is very original and creative. And
Yeah.
man, just Pixar, and this is
It's
why
like
this is why they're king. This is why they're on top
yeah.
so often.
I kind of refer to this as like the golden age of Pixar. I completely just made that up on the spot, but like the mid 2000s, I kind of refer to as the golden age of Pixar, early to mid 2000s, when they were
Hmm.
this pumping out every single creative, extremely creative, beautifully animated, emotionally
Yeah,
driven movie. Every single year, there's something
I,
just that
I
would
need
blow
to
you
look
away.
into it. I wonder if a bunch of people from Disney switched over to the Pixar team or something, because you had your Disney Renaissance
Hmm.
starting with Little Mermaid and going through the 90s, and then right around when the CGI started happening and being like the top thing, you have the Pixar being like this golden age,
Yep.
and they're still operating with Disney in ways, but I just feel like it's kind of strange that it just kind of flipped over, because
Yes.
the early 2000s were a real dry spot for Disney. I mean,
Yeah.
you have Princess and the Frog, but then you have like what is it, Chicken Little, and
Chicken Little.
The Home on the Range, and I mean some of these movies are movies I've never even seen.
Hmm.
Little something bear, something about a bear, like a brother bear or something like that.
Maybe I couldn't. I
That was
don't
an
even know.
animated movie. So yeah, it's literally like, so to me, like Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis, and Treasure Island or Treasure Planet. To me, those were still kind of in the tail end of. They were definitely on the downslope
Yeah.
of the Disney Renaissance, but to me, they were still connected to that Disney Renaissance, whereas those other movies just weren't. They were kind of weaker. But honestly, I guess I can't really say that about Home on the Range because I've never seen it.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah.
know for a fact Chicken Little was just weaker. Even my kids can tell it's just not as strong. And
Yeah. Do you also think this movie? I was just was thinking here when I was looking at the story itself. Has some meta commentary on the scariness of raising children, because the
oh,
fact that
definitely. Oh
like
yeah, like
I think that's a very prominent thing that it has here. I mean, they you have the monsters that are supposed to be scaring the children, and then there's a role reversal that happens many times throughout this movie that the children end up scaring the monsters, and it's all about the terrifying nature of children.
Like the kid rules the house. You know, they're
Yeah,
throwing food at him at her from a distance, just letting her draw pictures like crazy. You know, like trying to just keep her entertained.
yeah,
Um, they use like whatever the little Fruit Loop things are to draw her into the bedroom, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna, I guess, treat you like a puppy and lay out some paper for you to sleep on." But she climbs into the bed already,
mm-hmm,
and yeah, so it's this thing of like, yeah, it's very very like the meta commentary of the scariness of being a parent, and yet how quickly he's attached to them.
right,
I mean, because I think
yeah,
that helps. That's kind of what's going on with Sully is he's so attached so quickly. I mean,
mm-hmm.
like he thinks she's in this machine getting destroyed, and he's fainting like
Yeah,
15, 16. I don't know. He just keeps passing out, being like it's funny. It's played up for laughs, but it's and we
yeah,
know she's safe. That's the other thing. We know she's safe,
right,
so that's why it's funny.
yeah.
Um,
I was just thinking, like, if they had not shown that she was safe, like how
It'd be a
bad that
completely
would
different
be.
scene. Like that's
Yes,
it's a completely different scene. The only thing he knows is he sees a little eyeball thing, and he thinks she's in there because of
yeah.
that. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it shows that ultimately children, like, they have this innocent, this innocent nature about them. They're honest, they're loving, they're just
Well,
uh
they completely change, and I think Sully and all of Monsters Inc. Actually, they do it with the whole company. Goes through this huge change, where they're no longer about the scary things and the things that go bump in the night. You know, he
yeah.
sees himself screaming and doing the scaring thing, and this is the first time we see him scream and do
Hmm.
any type of scaring. We're told constantly throughout the movie that he's the best scarer, but we never see it, so we don't really
Right.
know it. And then he does his scary thing, and she's terrified of it. And that really like hooks in his like, oh my god, I need to change, I need to be a better person, and that also plays into the whole parent thing where everything in their life now changes. So instead of scaring, they're trying to make the kids happy and laugh,
Yeah.
instead of being yelling and screaming, you need to change your demeanor on how you deal with problems,
Hmm.
just bring it
Yeah.
to the parenthood thing.
And again, it's like it's a reversal. It goes from scaring to laughing. It's joy over fear type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, it's a well crafted story, and I love that we've talked about before about Pixar, how they're able to not only entertain kids but also bring something in for adults to enjoy as well. That's why
Yeah.
they're so successful. Beyond just the beautiful animations, they're able to offer audiences both, both young and the older demographics. So
It's nice to go to a kids movie and not feel like annoyed and brain
yeah,
dead the whole time.
because there's
Because
definitely those kids movies out there where they're strictly just for kids, and you're just sitting there and like, oh well, I
I
just
don't
gotta
go to
sit through
them. I
this.
won't take my kids to them. Like I just won't. I
Yeah.
deal with those things at home on the TV. But
Hmm.
even then it's kind of like, okay, I can take this for a couple hours, but it's time to shut off the SpongeBob.
Yeah.
It's time to shut
Yeah.
off the Paw Patrol. You
Hmm.
know, nothing against those shows, but
Right. But
I can
they're
watch Curious George forever. I don't have any problem with Curious George. That show could play forever. But man, yeah, some of these shows I just can't do it.
yeah. I have a almost 3 year old nephew, Oliver,
Mhm.
and my sister sometimes sends snaps of what they're watching and stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is. I will say though, I do like Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous. It's
Hmm.
it's
Never
actually
heard of that.
they yeah, so it's based obviously on like the Jurassic Park movies, but they actually homage the movies throughout the show, and it's
Hmm.
actually it's pretty entertaining because of how much I love the movies. And yeah, it's geared more towards children, but it's also kind of actually disturbing in certain parts where you're like, okay, this is because they don't actually show people being eaten, but people do get eaten during the show. Like people die in the show, like it,
Wow.
and dinosaurs actually kill people. They're usually behind a truck or something, but you hear them dying. So it's
Wow.
Yeah, it's not quite as tame a show as what it makes it out to be just by trailers and previews. So I will say that if you do watch
Interesting.
it, just know people do die in the show. It's not,
Interesting.
but
It's
yeah.
crazy.
So um, yeah, it's yeah. What was I gonna say? Um, yeah, I really like this movie. This is again, I place it probably somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's quite as funny as some of Pixar's other movies. I think Finding Nemo and The Incredibles, even Toy
Yeah,
Story.
well, we covered your problem with funny last week with Hot, or no, a couple weeks ago with Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz,
You
yes,
don't
yes,
have a good
yes.
funny bone. You don't like little
Oh,
sweet little
okay,
stuff.
I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I yeah. It does, but it's just a fun, endearing movie, and you can't help but not love Boo. She's just so darn cute and innocent, and just running around, and just
yeah.
you instantly fall in love with this character. Like
We had a
it's
little girl
just
in our church around the time this movie came out that looked just like her, and
yeah,
really dark hair, really pale skin, and put the hair up like that and
uh,
everything. And yeah, it's kind of funny.
yeah. Um, yeah. Do you
So,
have anything else to add? I think
not
that's
really. Do you have any trivia or anything,
I
or we went through
have
it all?
I have a couple other things that we didn't go through yet. We mentioned about the rendering for Solly. Mary Gibbs, who played Boo, so she was so young during this movie, during the
Hmm.
actual shooting and recording, that actually it proved so difficult for her to be able to stand in one spot when they're actually trying to get her lines. So literally, what they did is they just simply followed her around with a microphone while she played, basically, to get
Yeah,
a lot of her stuff. That's what they did because she was just so young, she just would not stand in one spot.
that makes sense.
Um,
I think it's funny that they tried to get an actual kid.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that they went through that much effort.
yep. The other things, yeah, other things we mentioned throughout the episode. So I don't really have anything else. We mentioned Billy
Alrighty.
Crystal and the Easter eggs that are hidden in this movie. I
Hmm.
love finding those Easter eggs. The Pizza Planet truck is in here too. We didn't mention that, but yeah, it's in there too. And yeah, I love that they foreshadowed. They basically told audiences what their next movie is going to be by having Nemo in here
Yeah.
because Nemo is coming out in 2 years after this movie. So
Where was Nemo in this?
so he shows up a couple different places. One is uh, so at at Harryhausen's restaurant behind the Octopus Chef. There's a
Okay.
painting of Nemo on the wall. And then secondly, after Solly throws Randall into a bedroom, there's a statue of Nemo that can be seen on the wall inside the bedroom.
Hmm.
And then thirdly, whenever Boo hands Solly some of her toys, she hands him a Nemo toy. So there's a
Yeah.
Nemo actual like stuffed
Yeah.
Nemo there towards the end.
That's what it was.
So yeah,
Remember
just
all that now.
I love it. I love that. But yeah, now I have to. I feel like I have to watch Monsters University here at some point. Kind of. 'Cause
It's nice that Disney Plus pretty much lets you watch all of their
all of them.
back
Yeah,
catalog. Not
yeah.
everything. There's a couple things still missing, fulfilling contracts and stuff like that that they've
Hmm.
had. Um, but yeah, so it's nice to have those movies there so that you can actually watch them.
Yeah.
Uh,
I will ask you. No, they're here yet. What? How did you feel about Monsters University? How would you compare it to the original? Is it better, about the same, or
it's just different. I
just
don't
different?
consider
Okay.
it as good, but it does give some type of like, it makes you think about how the scaring works a little bit more.
Okay.
Just because they're and it's a college movie. It's weird because they made an actual college movie that's like PG rated, and you still
Yeah,
have
you don't
crazy
see
things
that.
going on, and it's kind of fun. Um, but yeah, other than that, yeah, I don't think it's as good. But the whole
Okay.
frat part of it is kind of fun. There's one character I kind of it was fun watching because he's like an older student. He's like in his 40s or something. He's like a full grown adult, but he's going to
Yeah.
college. So, given my college experience, the fact that I didn't go till I was 28, it kind of was like I thought it was funny because of that. Because I was going to college later and I was older than everyone. I had a wife. I didn't have to live on campus. Um,
Yeah.
So it was just interesting to. It's just kind of funny to watch that guy relate to that. But yeah, no, I don't think it's as good.
Okay.
I never really think the sequels are
Very rare do
as
you find a sequel better
as
than
good.
the first.
Pixar is really good with their third ones, though.
Yeah,
I would
Toy
say
Story
their
3.
number twos are kind of like weak, but their number threes kind of knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Cars 3, Toy
Yeah.
Story 3 being the main examples. Finding Dory breaks the mold on sequels, but that's kind of what. But kind of feel like that's because it's not really a sequel. It's
Yeah,
not
it
like
is a
find.
prequel, essential. Well, that's
Well,
not a prequel technically,
it's more of
but
a side quel or just an extra
yeah,
movie. It's not
almost a
because
spin-off.
Finding Nemo, it's all about Nemo. Finding Dory is all about Dory. And yeah, there's the same premise of like, oh, going across the ocean to find them and bring them back. But they kind of glossed over all of that when they just were like, oh, yeah, we just caught up with the turtles and then we got there.
Yeah.
And so they didn't really deal with the same struggle to get across the ocean. It was like, oh, yeah, we know how to get across the ocean. It's just in a different direction this time. We can do this. Then they
Hmm.
got there, and then they dealt with a couple minor things in the ocean. It was more about getting into the building and stuff like that. So I think Finding Dory broke the mold because it's not really a sequel. It's more like a movie with the same characters. I mean, and I guess that is what a sequel is, but it's not like to me a sequel is building on the same story arc. Like
Yeah.
there's this arc, and then there's this other bigger arc, and then there's this other bigger arc. To me, that's what a sequel does. It builds on the arc of the stories. But
Right.
they didn't really do that with Finding Dory. They just told a different story.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Other than that, yeah, I think that's all we got. So
Next week is Dumb and Dumber, and
Dumb
boy,
and Dumber.
am I looking forward to this one, man.
I'm not looking forward to it. It has the title for a reason.
I think it is. Oof, I'm so excited for it. Barb Toledo, it's one of her favorite movies, so I hope she's able to listen to the episode. Oh yeah, I'm already right. I'm ready for it right now. I'll watch it again, but I've seen it so many times. I know pretty much every line in that movie. I'm ready. I'm ready. Bring it on. You better come
Want to hear the
prepared
most annoying
because
noise in the world?
annoying sound in the world.
The most annoying sound in the world.
It's peak Jim Carrey. Oof.
Oh gosh, it is peak Jim Carrey. Thanks for watching this episode of Buddy Movies. If you like what you saw, click here for more episodes. And remember to like, share, and subscribe for all of our latest content. If you really like what we do, consider supporting us on patreon.com/buddymovies. Thanks for watching, and remember to stay cool.